G'day guys, welcome back to Supercoach Swordplay and welcome to my round 8 review. Hope you all had a crack of a round. For me, slightly above par, I think, a 24-16, now in the top 2%, season rank 3,686. So taking baby steps towards the top 1%. I think the goal will probably be to get to the top 1% by the start of the buy. So give myself another month, try to build up the side, make some good trades. The issue is, at the moment, the rookie cupboard is absolutely bare. I don't know what to do in regards to downgrade options. We are a little bit desperate, so we may need to be creative. We'll talk about that when I get to my trades. But look, overall, pretty happy. I say this every week, not where I want to be, but seeing a green arrow is always half decent, particularly when you don't own Max Gorn. This has been an absolute killer, and it continues to just be a dagger in the heart. I bring in Nick Dacos. He fails. It was tough in some areas, but I did have certainly some wins in others. But we'll take a quick look at the side, try to work out what on earth I'm doing with my trades, quickly talk captains, then I'll leave you there because we have a huge week coming up. The boys are coming on for their Rage Trade Mondays tonight. We've got the poddy, we've got the stock market, we've got Rossco with his GDS stuff. We're going to do another live on Friday nights. The boys do the live teams on the Thursdays. So more content than you can poke a stick at. So we'll get straight into it, guys. Hope that you're well. Let's see how the team's actually doing. Alrighty, now I better start with my trades from last week. Originally, I didn't want to trade at all. However, when the news came through about Clary, I thought I've just got to get out of this pick now because I just didn't have a great feeling about it. Now, I hope that the great man gets better. I really, really do. But when we're talking about some mental struggles as well, some physical issues, I just thought, nah, you need to get out now. So what I did was I was pretty much just playing around and seeing what I could do with the money. Originally, I could have gone Chad Warner just in the one trade, but I just wasn't super confident. I thought I just need to see one more, and I was a little bit worried that he'd cop the tag. That did not eventuate, and he ended up smashing it out of the park. But anyway, thought I'm not doing that. So what I thought to do then was, look, let's just trade Clary out for a Huswaite at this stage, see how much money I've got left over to chuck on another player, and look what we can do. I thought, all right, Jordan Dawson, he's probably the man. Janath the Professor, he's gone with him. And Spillsy said on the poddy that everything that he touches turns to gold. So I thought, why not just follow that trend? But I thought, no, is he going to be a keeper? No, all right, I'm out of that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get Track into the side because I think he's really good value. He's going to be a forward keeper, really nice matchup, and I actually predicted a 130 from him. That did eventuate. However, I had a couple of things that happened that went on, and couldn't watch the game, missed out on the trades, and just could not get Petrarca in. It was absolute carnage, and I was dead set spewing. So I thought, look, what do I do here? I'm desperate now because I've seen Gorn's massive score. We've seen the people that brought in Warner, Dawson go absolutely massive, and it was just super frustrating. I thought I need to catch up with some points here. So I decided to bring in Josh Dunkley. Now, I only had the Sunday games and, excuse me, I looked at Dunkley's recent history against his next three opponents, and they were absolutely phenomenal. Now, he only got the 109. I really wanted something that matched the Track or the Dawson types or the Warner types. Didn't quite get it, but I still think I've got a solid citizen, and he's one of my boys as well. So am I happy with Josh Dunkley? Not overly, but I don't think it's a huge fail, and I expect a big month from Dunks anyway. So that's what happened with the trades there. So Oliver out, and it was Connor Stone out. By then, these guys had already played, so Clay Hall had already played, and he performed really well on the waffle. So I think it was 29 touches, leading tackle winner. Yeah, played out of his skin. I don't think there's anything more that he could have done, and played a lot better than Gross, just looking at the numbers anyway. So hopefully Hall comes in. So it was Connor Stone at the end of the day. He got dropped. I thought, look, what's going to happen with him? His DPP is really handy, but you got to do what you got to do, and end up getting Huswaite in, which did allow me to put Ashcroft on field with some DPP here. And I made some money on, what I would have, some points on what Power Pepper would have done. So that's a quick trade recap from the other day. But the team itself, Whitfield, all good with 111. I think this is really nice because I was expecting possibly a bit of a lower score, playing the Cats down there this week. I'm not expecting a huge one, but after that, I think his run looks pretty decent. So very happy Whitfield owner. Zorks with 95. Look, at 500k, there's no way that you're trading this guy. Is he going to be up there with the Whitfields? I really don't think so. Kitty absolutely smashed it in the VFL as well, so he'll come back into the side either this week or the next, you'd assume. What does that mean for Zorko? I don't think a heap, but it's going to be interesting. I really don't know. I just think we need some data. Leave him in his side with Kitty. If it seems like he is really affecting him, then maybe look to get out. But for now, I don't think I've got luxury of moving him on. Roberts with an 82. That's all good. We've seen what he's done a couple of weeks prior to that. This was massive for me because in the top 5%, Dale is a fair pod when it comes to some other popular defenders. And the fact that he went just 100 plus, let alone a 124, is so good for me. It's such a huge relief because he's been just dogging it up. And I know lots of coaches were looking to trade him out. So held the faith there. And I think I've got to for the long term at this stage. Bias, really disappointing with a 49. But we'll talk about him when we get to trades. But the interesting thing is that his break even compared to all of his scores, bar one, also taking that sub game out, he's actually done better than that. So I don't think he's a must trade out, but I can see why people might want to move him on. Reed's just been phenomenal, low break even again. Don't move him on. Carroll, yeah, it is what it is. Just trying to make money at the moment. Hopefully don't need to actually get him on field. O'Connell, well, is this a nice surprise or not? I think it is because really you're not looping Carroll and Reed, are you? Pretty safely just put Reed on ahead of Carroll every week. So I suppose this is a good thing because he'll start to make money, albeit a very, very slow burn, if he can play for the next 2-3 weeks. That'd be really nice. So a bit of a bonus there. Brayshaw, absolutely forgive this man. Freo as a side were absolutely terrible. I don't remember seeing a more boring game of football. Just kick down the line, kick down the line. That really affected someone like Jordan Clark, I think, again this week. So forgive this man. Hopefully he'll really bounce back against the Pies this week at home. Dacos with an 89. I wasn't paying for this. And I did say to people that you probably had to get him in, what was it, a week or two ago, or just have to leave him for 4 to 6 weeks. With this score, I think I was wrong about that. So if you haven't got Dacos, just wait it out just a little bit and then absolutely pounce. I think that'd be a really good buy. Chalky has had a really, really good last 3 weeks, and all of a sudden is a pick that people actually looking to bring into their sides instead of falling over themselves to trade him out. So really happy with Neil. She's back to that half back roll, 120. Really picked it up. So, yeah, happy with that, but wanted a little bit more, just being greedy, but that's all good. Dunk's already talked about him, but yeah, such a selfish game, a selfless game, taking Real completely out of the equation. I don't think Real, he may have had a couple of clearances at best, I think Real. Dunkley absolutely smashed him. And a bit of a rant here. I was watching Dunkley like an absolute hawk, obviously bring him into the side. And I'm looking at the stats. I'm looking at, it's sad, I know, but looking at fan footy, looking at the AFL app, like stats, all the rest. And I'm thinking he's not getting tackles. Like this man, like he was getting some tackles, but I'm telling you, they missed a good chunk of what Dunkley did there. I don't know what happened there. So it really could have been a 120 plus here. I have no words what happened there with the tackle count. Maybe it's just Brisbane coloured glasses, owner's bias. I don't know, but I swear they missed tackles on Dunkley. But rant over. Cher is an interesting one. Now, with a score of 82, there's a sort of 280s on the run here. He's now starting to leak coin unless we see him produce what will be his best score of the year. I think it's in the 130s. We'll talk about it in the trade. So interesting there. The original plan was to use him to go to your Bonds, your Butters types, but it may be time to cash out. We'll see. Lindsay's super disappointing against that opposition, 251k. So look, he's made money, but yeah, really disappointing if you had him on field. Huss, I did decide to go early on. You couldn't go the bus. You couldn't go early there because he was obviously the sub. Just got bevoed already. So, yeah, I'm just not going to go there. But looking at the matchup, I was pretty confident to have him on field. And within the first, I reckon, 4 or 5 minutes, he was on 19 points. He'd had a couple of clearances, a couple of tackles, and just looking really, really good. So we've got at least another couple of weeks, I think, with Huss Wade. But if he performs like he did, you know, is there a chance that he keeps his spot, plays a little bit more half forward, maybe some wing? I know his best spot's obviously in the inside with Nash coming back. That's not great, but I think there's a world maybe where we could squeeze an extra week out of him, even if it's a sub. Yeah, depending on break even, it wouldn't be the worst thing, just maybe for an extra price rise. Hewitt, 91, really spewing. So he's sort of been a little bit up and down, but when he's good, he's good. So this is great for his cash gen. And if you decided to, like I had the decision early on, to trade out Nevitt or Hewitt. This was, I reckon, 4 or 5 weeks ago. Decided to trade out Nevitt because I liked Hewitt. I thought that they'll want to get games into him, got that DPP and a better loop anyway. So really happy I did that. He's making money. Kako is such a slow burn, but at the end of the day, scored more than Kako, so can't be too disappointed in him. Hall, as I said, smashed the waffle, and I expect him to be back if they make a change in the midfield. Surely he can't do any more. Sherry, brilliant with 146. Now, one thing I'll have to put my hand up. There's a long way to go until the end of the season, but I said when he's fit, he's a clear R1. That's not the case. It's Max Gawn. It's Max Gawn. This guy is, he's always been like the apprentice, a bit of the understudy to Big Maxi. But Maxi is still just the man at the moment. Am I disappointed with Sherry? No, he's an absolute beast, an absolute gun. I'm not complaining with 146. It's just when you don't know Max, it's an absolute killer, particularly when there's other teams out that have that have Sherry as well as Max Gawn over TDK. So you lost 100 points just there. But again, 115 for a season average. You can't complain here. But you do need to ask yourself the question, if you've got 120K in the bank and a few extra trades on the rest of the comp, maybe you've saved a boost or two, is it worth just going bang? Maybe. It's not my strategy and way of playing, but yeah, maybe. Rankin with 138, brilliant. Baz with 111, absolutely fantastic. Like, these are massive scores here. McRae, isn't it great to see him back to his best? We're getting a little bit concerned here with some low scores, but yep, kudos to the man. Daniel, what do we do here? I'm an absolute hold for now, because if you look at that season average, 98, it doesn't compare to his 3-rounder. We've seen, I think, 289 is another 80-odd score. Yeah, I'm absolutely a hold for now. We'll see what happens in the next 2 to 3 weeks, but he isn't the biggest problem in the team, so I'm just going to hold him for now. And the break even, I think, is pretty fair and reasonable around that price. So, yeah, around the 92 mark, which is what they expect him to get. We'll see what happens there. Wowee, this man, Ryan Marich, 131. This has been such a good pick, and it was so 50-50 for me between Humpty and Marich. And I know that Humpty just went off tap last week, but this has been such a big, big win for me. Is he going to be a keeper? I'm still not planning for him to be a keeper, but what he'll do is, I think at bare minimum, he should be a pretty easy sideways-ish to my last forward, whoever that will be. Just got to get the timing right. However, if he continues to grow into the role, then there's a word where he could be. Why not? If you're not in a position, trade-wise, money-wise, to get a really nice flex in, then could he just be that flex player? Maybe. So just wrap with the pick. Absolutely wrap with the pick. Massive hold there. And Levi called this. I said that him or his brother would win the Ashcroft medal, and Will did it. But this guy was absolutely phenomenal. Clearly his best game of his career, and I knew that he'd get up for it. We know that Gold Coast gave him a fair bit in that preseason game, really targeted him. And his dad was on the medal. His dad's name is on that medal. So he would have wanted to really do his best and put his best foot forward, and he did that. So kudos to the man, and an absolute hold. Absolute hold. Absolutely love Levi. Matty Flynn, this is a bit of a concern. Now, there's still money to be made here, and I want to hold him if I can. However, does he keep his spot in the side? This is a big question. I just don't know. I didn't watch the game, so I couldn't give you much context, but I just know that Gawn dominated. But do you give him a bit of a mulligan here? Like, he just scored, a 140 plus not that long ago. So I want to hold him. I hope he keeps his spot. If he doesn't, then am I prepared to try to wait it out and just cop a 0 at the flex? Probably not. I probably will look to move him on, but the issue is downgrade options. Sammy, I was expecting a bit of a lower score, and a 66, like, that is still okay. And clear of the 63, that 30 now out of the system, he'll continue to make some pretty nice cash, which would be very, very handy for upgrades. So, yeah, it's interesting what to do with Sam Power Pepper. We'll have a look at the break evens now. Now, realistically, not trading out any of these guys here, not trading out Reed, not trading out these guys. So Bice is potentially in the chopping block, not trading out anyone here. Chera is the other bloke potentially on the chopping block. No. Potentially, I'm really hoping he gets a game. But still, if he doesn't, there's my loop in the midfield. So with, scores like Lindsay produced, I really do want some sort of a loop if possible here. Even better if he plays, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to trade out Clay Hall. So potential. No. No, I'm holding Daniel, holding. Potential, Clear, I'm holding. And then potential with Matt Flynn. What's Flynn's break even? It's still relatively low at 68. So I've got 40K in the bank. Now, if I had a couple of 100K, this would be really, really easy. I would just upgrade a Power Pepper type, a Flynn type, a Bias type, and just call it a day, because I really don't want to downgrade. That's the issue. So what I'm thinking at this stage, and what I hate doing this, and I'm a week late, and I should have just got him in for Clary, but Cherry's a man. Now, if we look at what he's done so far, I've been a huge advocate for holding, a huge advocate. This is the issue. It's a break even of 131. And the last two scores we've seen are an 81 and an 82. So if he pumps out, well, what are they projecting to do? So they're projecting him for 93 and he'll lose 16K. So it's not the end of the world. They'd see him around 484. But you're losing cash, while some of these other players, and I'm talking your Warners, your Dawson types, they're going to make cash. So that's the issue. If I had downgrade options, then I'd happily say bye to a Power Pepper. I'd happily say bye to a Flynn, to a Bias maybe, to a Kako, absolutely. But I just do not see the downgrade options, and I don't want to go early just for the sake of going early. I can't even say I was hugely confident on Hustwaite, but I was pretty confident that if he performed pretty well, that he'd buy himself another couple of weeks job security after this. So I'm happy I did that. But for those of you that don't have Hustwaite, then you can get rid of the Power Pepper types, the Kako types potentially, and make your money that way to make your upgrade. But for me, I can't. So that's the issue. Like if I trade out a Power Pepper, I've got 437. It just doesn't do anything for me. That's the issue. If I trade out Shearer, then I've got 540K. And so if I filter by players I can afford, and we'll go by average. Well, McRae, Dunkley, Baz, I've got. Caldwell's not an option. This was a bloke that I was planning on bringing in, Jack Sinclair, but with an 83 next to his name and a break even of around the 130, I don't think you need to do it this week. However, I do need to plan to bring him in next week. And it's easy with a Flynn, Power Pepper combo, Bias combo. You can easily do that if we've got the downgrade options. Noah Anderson, yeah, potentially as a bit of a pod. Rankin I've got. Dawson's the other man. So you can see your Sinclair types, your Dawson types. Sinclair will be, in my opinion, hoping he goes back to that more favourable roll down back, which you all love him for. Absolutely a top 6 defender, close to locking it in. Anderson, yeah, possibly around the top 8. Dawson, you possibly as well. But you're getting onto him early, and we've seen Dawson go on a run. All he needed to do was finally put it together. Some of those behinds translate into goals. Stick some more of those marks. Get more around the bowl. Open that CBA rate. It could all be happening. As I said, really keen to look at him last week, and I should have, with the professor, Janath. So he's an option at 521. That is still really, really nice value. He's still down almost 30K in his starting price. Rosie is another man, but with that low score, probably just want to wait it out, but he'll get that defensive status. The other man I want to look at, though, is Jordan Clark. Matt Rao, just, no, you wouldn't do it to yourself. Will Ashcroft, well, I've already got Dunkley. I've got Neil. I can't get him. I've got Levi's brother. I've got bloody Zorks there. Finn Callahan, I just couldn't get back into him, but that's really tough because I did start him and I was expecting a massive year. And then you see Shearer there already 15 on the list. So all these blokes below Shearer now actually have a lower average. You're looking at your Holmes. Could you just get him in now? Hopefully he finds a bit of form and you switch him back into your defensive line. I can actually get the Horny Man in. It's a buy for a buy, but I did want to get him after that. I don't think you have to get him now, but I could just do that. We know he's going to be a forward keeper. Track or Horn Francis, the thing that I like about either one of those two players is that you're getting, well, what we would consider to be a forward premium. I do need to obviously beef up the midfield, but I think there could be value there for now. Although, is there even, do you know what? There may not even be that much value with Petrarca long term. Like, given the fact he's got these 2 nice scores in his system, but then he's coming up against some harder opposition. These guys aren't going to be easy kills that he's coming up against. Well, you wouldn't think so anyway. This is the period that we really assess the pick in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think we track. So, do I just wait this out? I think I'm almost committed to waiting out the track pick now. I'm almost committed to doing that. Horn Francis, such a highly owned pick, and I did have him. But again, after the bye, be really nice after round 12. This is a man still at value. So under 70K, 70K underpriced for what he started at. He's got to break even at 26. So this is the absolute now time for Chad Warner. I'm actually making money. Oh my goodness. Making money on this, going Shearer to Warner. But what that does mean in saying that is that I'm most likely going to be skipping on Petrarca, one of Petrarca or Horn Francis. 1, 2, 3. Is there a world where I skip on both and just end up getting Warner here long term and keeping these guys? Who knows? Who knows? Ideally, you'd love to probably get both of Petrarca and Horn Francis here. I just don't see myself with that luxury. So that could certainly be an option, I think. He's an absolute roller coaster. We know this. And I hate getting him after a big score, but the CBA time is now up. That's a good sign in itself. And 121, 140, 122, 115. It's this floor, isn't it? This is a sub game, so I don't really take too much of that. But 81, 71, 78, it's not what we want. I was going to say from our top line midfielders, but given the fact he is a forward and we do expect genuinely in forward picks a little bit more variation and probably a lower floor, I think I'm willing to go there. So Warner is probably the pick. I should have just done it last week. I said to myself, I need to see another week. I just wish I didn't have so much paranoia about him copping the tag. Oh, well, it is what it is. But that's probably the play for me. Now, that right there would leave me with 52K, nice and easy. This is going for too long. I wanted to keep this one short, but I'll just go with a couple of other options that I've potentially got here. So let's just say if I wanted to even boost things up, use my last boost, we could go someone like a Flynn out. We could go a Power Pepper out. We could actually just say we're going to keep a Shearer type and even get a Bice out. So blokes that aren't going to be keepers, all on their day can score hundreds, and we've seen that, but they're not going to be keepers at the end of the day. So I've got Shees I could chuck. What just happened there? Did he go to my flex or something, did he? All right, so let's just see if I swap Shees. Oh, why won't it let me do that? Why is it going to the flex? I don't know. But I could, for example, get... I don't like this, but let's just say a Boxall. That leaves me, 1085. I could go early, and I don't really want to do this, but I could go early on a Sinclair. You certainly still got value there. And then you go your Chad Warner and have 63K in the bank. So that's certainly something I could do. Instead of Sinclair, you could use your DPP with someone like a Petrarca. Instead, I could go your Dawson. So swap Sheasel there. And then try to beef up with the Jordan Dawson. I don't mind that. I'm really getting value here. Still 75k in the bank. So let's see what this would look like on field. So Whitfield, Sheasel, Zorko, Roberts, Dale, Reed. Really confident on field there, with Reed being the only rookie. The midfield, we go Brayshaw, Dacos, Neil, Dunkley, Shearer, Lindsay, Huswaite, and then... and then Elijah Hewitt. I'd probably have instead of Boxall. Yeah, that's looking dodgy already there, isn't there? Kako, Hall, Boxall. Huswaite on field. We don't even know how long he's going to be getting a game for. Actually. So that looks a lot healthier there, doesn't it? All right, so that actually pushes Marek all the way down. All right, so let's just make this look a little bit nicer. Midfield. All right, so the midfield, Brayshaw, Dacos, Neil, Dawson, Dunkley, Shearer stays, Levi, and then one of Huswaite or Lindsay. That's looking a lot healthier now. Then the forward line, that's looking really good. Hewitt, you'd be comfortable with at the moment. Still Cleary making money. Kako. Let me know what you think, guys. Let me know what you think. There's a trade like that, and instead of... I could still include Shearer in that. Actually bank some more money and keep on to maybe a Bice. Maybe keep on to Power Pepper. I could actually do that and include Shearer. Or else I could just go that Shearer to Dawson or to Warner. Probably your Warner, I think it would be. So let me know what you think, guys, in regards to those trades. And captains, well, I did quickly go through this in the stream last night, but I think for me personally, you've got Dacos or Brayshaw just as the early VC, and I love being able to lock in an early VC. So I think at home, I'm not expecting a tag. I'm going to go Andy as my VC, although you wouldn't necessarily expect a tag on Dacos, and he could go nuts. But Andy, apart from last week, has just been so reliable, so I'm not losing the faith at all with Andy. So he's probably going to be my VC. And then you look at Dacos being out. Well, Dawson, if I was to get him, Port, I really think that he could go big in that showdown game. Chalky Neal's probably the other one against your North. Do they look to tag? Don't know. Dunkley's got a pretty solid history against North as well, so you could go your Neal or Dunkley. So first game and then last game. In between, Rankin in that game could go nuts. Do you go Sherry against the Big O? Normally the Big O is pretty restrictive. I'll need to look at the numbers there. That's just from memory. McRae's just gone big, playing Carlton. Does Hewitt get into him possibly? Warner against Essendon. Marvel, who knows? Sheasel. Whitfield, probably not. Zorko. Yeah, so for me, I think it's just going to be Andy into Chocky for the captain. But, yeah, trades, I'm just not keen. I'm not keen on going Boxall this week. I don't know if he even gets up. The good thing in this scenario is that I've got another 75k. So what is Boxall? 113. So you're talking 180. Yeah, close to 190k, which does open up my options with Fonty and a couple of these other blokes. I'm not going to go through them now because we'll wait for the poddy when Janath will obviously have the rookie data dump along with Rossco there. Third man up, do a wonderful job with the rookie data dump, and also make sure that the stock is out a little bit early this week because I do have a couple of weeks off just for some personal reasons. So, yeah, that will be probably my plans for now, captain-wise, and, yeah, may go Warner in for chair, but we'll see about that. So, going to leave it there, guys. Went for way longer than I expected, so hope you're all well. All the best, and I'll see you soon next one. Cheers, bye.